Classic Chrome has been one of the most popular film simulations since its release. Personally, I put it up there as my favorite since I use it the most when shooting and editing. It's a bit difficult to describe what I like about it though. Some say it brings out the positive aspects of black and white photography without simply desaturating the colors. The shadows are good, blues are a bit teal, and it's well suited for documentary and street photography. It's not my favorite for reds however, and sometimes skin tones can be off. But I like it, because I can use it for most situations and it serves as a great base for photo editing. In recent years though, I have been getting a bit tired of it. It's not to the point where I'd stop using it, but rather crave or want something different. These are just observations based on my experience, and aren't necessarily right, so your mileage may vary. Also, if you're looking to learn more about film simulations, check out some of the other articles I made, like tips for understanding film simulations, and your complete guide to Fujifilm Film Simulations 2025. But anyways, let's get into it. Here's what I learned in my search. A sleeper profile. Reality Ace has been a bit of a sleeper film simulation for me. Initially, I wasn't very interested in it, since it seemed like just another standard color profile without many standout characteristics. But as I craved something different from Classic Chrome, Reality Ace made its way into my photography. In my recent video, Reality Ace is actually Reality Good. I observed it to be quite similar to Provia. But unlike Provia, there's something about Reality Ace I find more appealing. Some people prefer the Provia look, which is perfectly fine. I just find it a bit boring. Looking closer, the main difference between Reality Ace and Provia are the tones. Shadows and midtones are slightly lifted and colors are a bit muted in Reality Ace. In comparison to Classic Chrome, I found it to be more similar than you'd think. And with a few adjustments, you can get similar color tints in the blues and oranges. The contrast is a bit stronger in the shadows for Classic Chrome, but that's something that can be adjusted for in the sliders or tone curve. Meaning it's similar, but different enough if you're craving a different look. Lately, I've been experimenting a lot with Reality Ace to see how I like the look, and it varies. Sometimes I like the brighter midtones, other times I want the shadows to be deeper. It is fun though, and I find the blues and greens in particular to look quite nice in Reality Ace. Unlike the tealish blues of Classic Chrome, Reality Ace is on the bluer side, giving it a nice ocean feel. Browns can be on the greener side, and I'm still debating whether this is a good thing or not. In my recent camping trip, I shot a lot with Reality Ace, and I think nature, forests, and wilderness type shots look great, especially when you even out the contrast. I actually prefer the skin tones of Reality Ace as compared to Classic Chrome, especially for tanner subjects. This is because Classic Chrome tends to be on the pinker side, and like I mentioned before, this looks a bit off to me, especially for darker skin tones. All in all, I'd recommend trying Reality Ace out, especially if you're looking for something standard, but different. Unfortunately, it's only available on newer Fuji cameras, but worth a shot if you get the chance. The Hipster's Classic Chrome. Pro Negative is the film simulation I like to think of as the Hipster's Classic Chrome. This is because it was sort of the Classic Chrome before Classic Chrome. After its release, Classic Chrome boomed in popularity, but many longtime Fuji users still stick to and prefer Pro Negative. I've personally always preferred Classic Chrome, but have lately been experimenting with Pro Negative. I also prefer Pro Negative High as opposed to Pro Negative Standard, so we'll be talking about that one more. At a glance, the two are very close to one another. They have a similar mutedness to their colors and aren't as saturated as the other film simulations. But when comparing any film simulations, the main things we have to pay attention to are the colors and tones. Between Pro Negative High and Pro Negative Standard, I placed Classic Chrome somewhere near the high side. Classic Chrome seems to be a bit brighter in the whites and highlights, making it look more contrasty, but otherwise, their histograms are about the same. Pro Negative Standard, as we know, is lighter in the shadows and flatter all around. When it comes to colors, Pro Negative seems to be a bit warmer and a tad stronger. It's not to the same level as a film simulation like Provia, but a tad more than Classic Chrome. The warmth also might just be a result of Classic Chrome preferring to the cooler side of things. The color blues are also more standard in Pro Negative as opposed to the tealish ones of Classic Chrome. Those are the main differences I've noticed between the two, but otherwise, most people would find it hard to tell the two apart. In my experience, Pro Negative has been useful in photos where Classic Chrome has the right tones, but not the right colors. Something I've struggled with in Classic Chrome is bringing out the colors. Classic Chrome is naturally a bit muted, and while this can provide for a good base to add adjustments, it can also ironically make it hard to add adjustments. For example, the starting point for color in Classic Chrome versus Provia or Velvia is much lower, meaning I'd have to add a lot more color or do a lot more work to get the same levels or look. It's been achievable in the past in some of my sunset photos, but sometimes I don't want to do all of that work. And if getting a similar result sooner is easier on a different film simulation, why not do that, right? And if you don't have Real Ace on your camera, Pro Negative can be a good alternative to try out. It won't be miles apart from Classic Chrome, but it's still fun to use and you might find some things you like about it. Not what I expected. Nostalgic Negative was a film simulation I had high expectations for. I thought it'd be my replacement for Classic Chrome, an alternative to what I used so often. And although not a bad look, it wasn't what I expected. Nostalgic Negative's biggest defining characteristic is the amber warmth. This changes the shades of browns, gives it a bit of a color cast, and you'll notice it especially on a warm day. You'll sometimes also see deeper blues in the shadows, which I'm still debating whether or not I like. In terms of tones, Nostalgic Negative has a bit of a lift in the shadows. This probably gives it a bit of a softer feel, which might be what they were thinking when they named it. Characteristics like these aren't bad, but I think the more you have, especially the stronger they are, the less versatile it makes the film simulation. If you think about Real Ace and Pro Negative, which we talked about earlier, they share a close resemblance to Classic Chrome, and I've been able to edit back and forth between the three and make them look fairly close to one another if needed. For something like Nostalgic Negative, that's impossible. The characteristics of this film simulation are just too noticeable, and I'd put it on par with Astia. Furthermore, it's not always the best option, especially on colder days. I find the amber browns to be a mismatch with overcast, clouds, or colder temperatures. In contrast, it's much better suited for hot, summery, and even midday scenarios. Because of this, Nostalgic Negative is, in my opinion, less versatile and more situational. Now, if you stick to and use it where it shines, Nostalgic Negative can actually look really nice. For example, in these photos I took at the beach last year, Nostalgic Negative felt like the right choice, since the amber brought out the warmth of the day and matched the colors of the sand. Blues and shades of orange were the dominant colors of the day, so they played a big role as well. And although the timing was midday, Nostalgic Negative being lighter in the shadows than others made it so the images weren't too harsh. So although it's not as versatile and all-purpose as the other film simulations we talked about, it's still worth trying out. It's a good alternative to Classic Chrome, especially if you're looking for something more different, not just slightly different like the other two. For something very different. Now, let's say you're far off the treadmill and you don't just need something slightly different, you need a complete 180. In these cases, I recommend my second most used film simulation, Classic Negative. Classic Negative is a film simulation I use on occasion, and it helps balance my overuse of Classic Chrome. And although it's completely opposite to something like Classic Chrome, I think its general look and aesthetic is pretty damn awesome. The defining characteristics of Classic Negative are the strong tones and the color shifts in brown, red, and green. You'll notice instantly when switching your camera to Classic Negative how drastic the images look from Classic Chrome. And unlike Real Ace and Pro Negative, which are somewhat adjacent to Classic Chrome, Classic Negative stands out. Tones with Classic Negative are strong, meaning the highlights and shadows are closer to the extremes, giving your images more drama and intensity. Browns are less yellow, reds are a tad darker and deeper, and greens become green-green. I've mentioned this before, but I really enjoy how greens look in Classic Negative. They become less yellow, and although this is something you can technically do in a hue slider adjustment, I think the green makes plants and trees look more full of life. Like we just mentioned with Nostalgic Negative, strong characteristics can make a film simulation less versatile. Because of this, I don't use Classic Negative for everything, although I'm sometimes tempted to. I find the look great, but can be overbearing at times, and some images don't need that kind of contrast. Lately, I've been trying to edit my Classic Negative images opposite to its characteristics. Because it's a higher contrast film simulation profile, I used to edit in a way that emphasized that look. This meant deepening the shadows, brightening the highlights, and adding to the clarity and contrast. But recently, I've been doing the exact opposite, just to see how it plays out. And strangely, I've been finding the balance to be quite appealing. Sometimes you just want the colors of Classic Negative, the browns, greens, and reds, but not the tones. So lifting the shadows, dropping the highlights, and flattening the curve and clarity can even out Classic Negative's characteristics. And this can actually look really good. So to sum it all up, if you're tired of Classic Chrome, it might be time to try something new. First, if you're looking for something similar but a little different, either Real Ace or Pro Negative could work well. Real Ace I'd recommend if you want something brighter and with a tad more color. Pro Negative High is good if you like the general shadows of Classic Chrome, but again, need a little more color. And both work well if you want something with less of that cold blue that Classic Chrome has. If you've got a newer camera, try Real Ace. If you got an older one, try Pro Negative. Now, if you want something different than Classic Chrome entirely, try either Nostalgic Negative or Classic Negative. I find the warmth and browns of Nostalgic Negative is a lot of fun, especially on sunny midday scenarios. And Classic Negative is just a great look. At the end of the day, understanding these film simulations will take a bit of playing around with. If you find that none of these film simulations are quite doing it for you, I'd recommend looking up some recipes or adjusting some settings in your camera. You'll learn a lot and probably discover something new along the way. So if you found this useful, please share this with a friend who'd also like this. Also, leave some of your film simulation or recipe recommendations down in the comments below to help out those who are tired of Classic Chrome. Check out Photography Essentials if you're interested in building a strong foundation. It's free, we've got new merch, limited photography zines, and new prints available as well. And we've got something big coming up very soon. I'm still working on it, but it's coming. Look forward to it. Thanks for watching, have a great day as always, happy shooting, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.